What's up, guys? This is SuperPat98, and today we're playing Super Smash Bros. 64 Remix. I have these amazing ideas for matches. These are what I like to call fantasy matches. And now that we have Remix, there's so many amazing fantasy matches we can make in this game. And today I'm playing with my Logitech N64 controller. How badass is that? Remember these? They used to be in the hotels back in the 2000s. Here's my first fantasy match idea. I call this match the Battle of 1996. This battle is inspired from the old commercial that Crash Bandicoot made back in the 90s where he mocked Mario. Do you guys remember that? He stood outside the Nintendo building with a microphone. And he said, "Hey, mustache man, your time is now done."
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
You know what's interesting about those Crash commercials? Is that Crash never really spoke in the video games, right? But in those commercials, he spoke all the time. What's that all about? Although you could say, you know, those commercials are like someone wearing a Crash suit, so he's pretending to be Crash Bandicoot, then that's not the real Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, so who do you guys think is better, Mario or Crash Bandicoot? Or Super Mario, I always like to say. I am a massive Crash Bandicoot fan, so yes, I definitely think that Crash is better than Mario. But I still love Mario. So anyway, why did I pick this level for this 1996 match? Well, I'm going to explain why I picked the levels for each of these fantasy matches. It's because in the commercial where Crash mocked Mario and Nintendo Corporation, there were buildings. So he was in a parking lot and there were buildings, right? So, this is like where Crash was in that commercial mocking Mario and Nintendo. In a big city, right? So you can just pretend that these buildings here are the Nintendo buildings of Nintendo headquarters. And here Crash is to kick Mario's ass. To prove who's the best of 1996. Really cool idea, right? I can't let that fucking mustache fat ass beat me. Because in 1996, Crash 1 came out, and so did Mario 64. So it's like, which game was better? Well, I definitely think Crash 2 is better than Mario 64. But I don't know about the Crash 1. He's always sleeping, isn't he? When he's not running around hitting boxes and collecting crystals. Okay guys, so this is fantasy match number 2, and I call this the commercial match. Remember the old commercial that promoted Super Smash Bros. 64 and had Mario, Pikachu, DK, and Yoshi? So they were in a grass field and they kicked each other's ass in those costumes. So this is the perfect level to reenact that commercial. Doesn't this kind of look like how colorful the environment was in that commercial? It was a grass field, right? This level really is as close you could possibly get to reenacting that commercial, that classic 90s commercial. And I think that commercial really helped promote Smash Brothers in the best way possible. Never before did we ever think that these characters would ever have a grudge with one another. So it was a really incredible breath of fresh air. And this game really is a fantasy game because it's like the characters, the Nintendo characters, are like jealous of one another and like who is the real king of Nintendo? Is it Mario or does it deserve to be DK? Or what about Yoshi as a rising star? Or Pikachu being a new rising star for 1999, right? Yeah, so everyone loves that commercial. They actually really did have a match in a wrestling ring, apparently. And the fans are trying to find the footage for it. And there's only photographs. So they did actually have a real match. Naturally, I would play as Mario. Or I would play as DK, I guess. Just seeing them all on the screen with the grass in this level, it makes you think of that old commercial. This is such a nostalgic match. I win. Mario. This next fantasy match is what I like to call the Shaq Fu match. So I am playing Dragon King, which they included back into Smash Brothers, which was the original version of Smash Brothers before they added the Nintendo characters. And one of the colors you can pick is a black man. And it just makes me think of Shaq for some reason. Probably because he's wearing a yellow outfit, so it makes me think of the Lakers. And Shaq also did Kung Fu, right? He had the video game Shaq Fu. As a massive Shaq fan, I think it's awesome, because playing Dragon King with this color scheme, it makes me feel like I'm playing as Shaq, and I'm playing Shaq Fu on the N64. So why did I pick this stage? Well, this is kind of like a level you would see in Shaq Fu. An oriental Japanese pagoda and everything. And why not have him fight the only ninja in the game, Goemon, who was also a star on the N64. He's an underrated video game platformer character. I love that move. Isn't that incredible? I never got to play Shaq Fu Reborn or whatever it's frickin' called. It's on the Switch, though. Come to think of it. Did you guys hear that scream? I think that's the same frickin' scream from the end of the intro to Ah Real Monsters, the old Nickelodeon cartoon from the 90s. If that's what it is, I think that's so nostalgic that they decided to add that as the scream when Dragon King dies. It's like nostalgia on top of nostalgia. So, playing this, it's kind of like playing Shaq Fu The Lost sequel. Wouldn't it have been awesome if Shaq Fu came out on the N64? It could have been Shaq Fu 64. And maybe it would have helped, it become more of a game franchise, instead of them waiting like frickin' 20 years later to make a new one on the Switch. Definitely won this one. Shaq Fu! The next fantasy match is the Rareware match, or the Rare, battle. So actually, you may have thought that playing Remix that there's only two characters that are Rareware characters, Banjo and Conquer the Squirrel. But that is not true, because now that Lanky Kong is part of this game, Lanky Kong was a Rareware character. So he's also a fighter, and then Donkey Kong is also a Rareware character. So you could actually have 4 Rareware characters fight one another, and in Spiral Mountain. Isn't that amazing? It would have been even more amazing, of course, if we got this when we were kids. Maybe if they made a sequel to Smash Bros. Before Melee, like a second Smash Bros. Game on the N64, that would have been really something. So I know that Donkey Kong is really a Nintendo character, but DK became a Rareware character. And Lanky Kong is definitely a Rareware character. In fact, he was one of the final Rareware characters to be created, because he came out in 1999 with Donkey Kong 64. One of the things I am kind of pissed about, well, actually really pissed about, is that one of the color schemes of Conker, they did not allow you to pick his original color outfit from Diddy Kong Racing and Conker's Pocket Tales. So fuck that shit. Why wasn't it included? You are allowed to pick the color scheme of how Banjo looked with his orange fur in Diddy Kong Racing as a color, but they didn't do it for Conker? Why? The Bear and Bird strike again. And of course they win, because Banjo and Kazooie are probably the greatest Rareware character ever created. This is another Rareware battle, Volume 2. And this time, I included Star Fox here to fight the other Rareware characters. Why? Because Star Fox actually did become a Rareware character because of Star Fox Adventures. A lot of people don't realize that or forget about that. So it makes sense to include Fox here to fight with them. He actually fits in quite well, and this is one of the new stages that they made. This stage is based off of Star Fox Adventures. And since Star Fox was made into a Rareware character, it's very fitting, because all the Rareware characters, for the most part, they're animals. So Star Fox, being an animal and stuff, it's just absolutely perfect. Rareware was always making badass animal characters, like Conquer the Squirrel, Banjo-Kazooie, yes, even Bumper the Badger. So Star Fox being included as now becoming a Rareware character, who's a really badass, one of the most badass animal characters ever, which is Star Fox, right? Especially in video games. The only other animal character I could think is second badass in video games compared to Fox is Sonic. It really would have been cool if they included a color scheme outfit for Fox to wear his outfit from Star Fox Adventures, so that playing this stage with Fox would be more fitting. But still, I think he looks pretty great here in his classic outfit. I guess this technically means that all the other Star Fox crew are now also Rareware characters, kinda, because they did appear in Star Fox Adventures. Well, we know for certain that definitely Crystal, who's an underrated Fox character, by the way, she would be a Rareware character because they just created her, not Nintendo. This next fantasy match is my favorite that I created. I call this match Pepsi Man versus Coca-Cola Man, because one of the color schemes for Dragon King is this color scheme. What character does this make you think of, especially in video games? Well, Pepsi Man. Do you guys remember that character who was like only in Japan and he had commercials? And he even had a game on the PlayStation 1. Pepsi Man. So you could actually play as Pepsi Man in another video game. And I changed the color scheme of Captain Falcon to be white and red. And now doesn't he look like Coca-Cola Man? Right? So this match is Pepsi versus Coke, the battle of the mascots. I didn't know which level to pick, and I don't know, they just look really good against the color scheme of this level. Maybe you can think of Star Fox's ship as like carrying all the soda to like, another spaceport or something. And this is them battling out on top of the ship and deciding what soda the ship is going to bring to, the next spaceport. Will it be Pepsi cans or Coca-Cola cans? By the way, leave a comment down below and tell me what soda you think is superior, Coke or Pepsi. I honestly think that Pepsi is actually better than Coke. I used to buy into the propaganda that people used to say back in the day to me that Coke was better. But the more I drink both sodas, and I'm a soda connoisseur, I actually think that Pepsi has like this kick to it. Then again, Coca-Cola is the original. I just love playing as Dragon King. You could call this match the Pepsi Challenge. This next match I called the Mario Brothers versus the Wario Brothers. So thanks to the changing of the color scheme that was added to Smash Remix, you can now give Luigi the color outfit for Waluigi. Isn't that awesome? So now you could actually have a match in Smash Brothers with Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, and Wario. Unfortunately, you can't do a team match where you could have Wario and Luigi wearing this outfit. You can't do that because when you do team battle, you can only pick from 4 different colors. You can't pick this purple outfit for Luigi. So, unfortunately, I can't have it be 2 bros versus the other 2 bros. So you just have to do this where they're all fighting one another. Which does suck, because that would be the ultimate experience. But hey, if you're playing with some friends, you could just not declare it a team match, right? And then just, say when we play, I'm only going to be attacking certain people because I'm on the team. I don't need it to be declared, a team match. You know what I'm saying? Could you imagine if it was like this and it was a 4-way sudden death? That would be fucking incredible, especially if it was all the Mario Brothers. A lot of people back in the day theorized that Wario is the stepbrother to Mario. I hate the fact that people say it's not. So can't we say the same thing for, oh shit. Get out of here, you fat ass. Can't we say the same thing for Waluigi, that he's the stepbrother of Luigi? Waluigi wins, not frickin' Luigi. Just ignore that text there. This fantasy match I call the intro match. Mario versus Kirby in the giant battlefield that we see in the intro to Smash Bros. 64. Now that it's a playable level, now you could literally have this dream match that we didn't get to actually see who would win, Mario or Kirby, during that epic, showdown in the intro. So this is also really nostalgic to see. One thing I have to really talk about that I think of every time I watch that intro where it's Mario and Kirby. Have you guys ever thought about why they picked Kirby and Mario to be the two characters that would be in the battlefield? It was not out of pure randomness or just because they thought it was cool. It's because HAL Laboratory also helped develop Smash Brothers. They basically created the game with Nintendo. And at the time, and I could be wrong, someone tell me if I am, but when I grew up, I always thought that Nintendo did not own Kirby. HAL Laboratory created Kirby, and they owned Kirby, and Kirby was their mascot of their game company. And then eventually, in the 2000s or some shit, Nintendo bought out HAL Laboratory, and then they owned Kirby. So at the time, that's what made the original Smash Brothers so special, is because HAL teamed up with Nintendo to create Smash Brothers. And that's why, in my opinion, Kirby is the best fighter in Smash Brothers. I always play as Kirby because he has the cheapest moves. And Mario himself is also really good in the game. He also has this really cheap move where it's down B and he does that tack. He can hit you 20 times in one hit. So these are the reasons why Mario and Kirby are so good in that first Smash Brothers game. Nintendo had such a great relationship with HAL Laboratory because Kirby was always on Nintendo before Smash Brothers came out. Damn it, I should have played as Kirby. Oh well. This next fantasy match is not that special, but I still think it's really neat to play during Christmas time. This is what I call the Christmas Slaughterfest. You have to play as characters that, dress up in Christmas-themed outfits. So King DDD is absolutely perfect, right? I mean, he always wore a Santa suit. So you got him. I thought Peach kind of looked Christmassy, like Mrs. Claus, when you picked that outfit for her. Then I picked Banjo because, you can make him a white polar bear as a color scheme. And then, Pikachu has that wizard hat, but when you change its color, it's red, and it could look like a Santa hat, kind of, right? So this is the special Christmas Slaughterfest match. Thanks to Remix, they added snow to Dreamland, or, from Kirby. Sorry, I always thought that was funny. It's hammer time, bitch! Merry Christmas with blood! Stuffing his face on Christmas also makes you think of Thanksgiving, so play this in December, this kind of fantasy match. It's a 90s Christmas Slaughterfest spectacular on the N64. Now, this next fantasy match, I don't really know if this works, but let me know in the comments if you guys think this kind of works. So, I'm a massive Gex the Gecko fan, okay? And this level is a level about Doom. And Doom was on the N64 as Doom 64. So this match I'm calling the Gex match. Gex versus Rez. So Yoshi, would be Gex. I mean, he kind of looks like Gex, right? And then the opponent, I want to be Rez, who is the enemy, the arch nemesis of Gex, for all you Gex fans out there. If you're not a Gex fan, you probably have no freaking idea what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, Gex's nemesis was Rez in the 90s. It was a game series. And now the Gex Trilogy's coming out, so this is kind of my way to honor the Gex Trilogy. So I picked Dark Samus because, I don't know, the color scheme and the robot, it kind of looks like the color scheme of Rez from Gex. And it's the closest I can think of. And plus, Gex does actually stick his tongue out in Gex 64, just like Yoshi. So why did I pick this stage? Well, a lot of famous levels in the Gex games are haunted-themed levels. Like, I remember in Gex 64 there was like Smell Razor, which is a parody of Hellraiser, and they had like the haunted house levels, which were the first levels in Gex 64. So this stage actually looks like the haunted levels in Gex 64, or Gex Enter the Gecko for the PS1. Everyone knows the PS1 version is far superior, but still, Gex 64 is still good, you know, it's still good, but just not as amazing as the PS1 version. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I really hate that people say all that shit all the time. Gex 64 still rules! So, you know, if you squint your eyes a little bit, you could say this is Gex fighting Rez, I guess. It's really odd, you know, Yoshi and Dark Samus are the only two characters that could literally pull this idea off. Now that's what I call getting some tail. I know what you're thinking. It's tail time.
Rez, he's back in the media dimension, and they think I'm crazy enough to go back in after him.
Gex wins.
Coming through.
This next fantasy match is what I call Banjo's Nightmare. So, there is a way you can actually fight as just the skeletons for the characters, which is amazing. So this is Banjo fighting a skeleton of himself with Kazooie. And I'm fighting in Mad Monster Mansion. I don't know, it's kind of a, you know, creepy, fun idea to do. I know it doesn't really make sense, you know, but I don't know, it's kind of like a neat idea, right? Just trying to think of something else to do with the bear and bird. God damn it. But this could be Banjo's nightmare, you know? Like he fights a skeleton of himself in Mad Monster Mansion, and that's one of the like nightmares Banjo has in his bed when he's sleeping. Then again, it's kind of weird for me to say that because Banjo does not sleep during his adventure. He only sleeps before his adventure in the first Banjo-Kazooie, right? So, he wouldn't even have visited Mad Monster Mansion. So it kind of doesn't make sense that this would be his dream. But, you know, whatever. Oh, man. Get the fuck out of here. Banjo conquered his dreams. Get it? Conquered his dreams like Conquer the Squirrel? Just kidding. This next fantasy match is what I like to call the Michelin Man versus the Jolly Green Giant. Not a bad idea, huh? All you have to do is pick Giant DK, right? And then also add the settings that the character's giant. And then this white color is for Dragon King. So why did I pick this stage, Toad's Turnpike? Well, it's like driving, so it makes you think of tires, like the Michelin Man. It's the only stage I could really think that would fit in something like this. And DK really is the Jolly Green Giant here, isn't he? It's so easy to kick his ass in this level. If only I can make the Michelin Man fat here. I tried because I made him bigger in size, you know. But unfortunately, I can't, you know, make Dragon King fat. Look at this stupid horse shit. Hilarious. Should we end his misery and see, or wait to see how long it happens? Let's see. Oh, how high is it gonna go fucking get? Oh, man. Here we go. Amazing. I'm gonna do one hit and he's gonna go flying. Get your fat ass out of here. One of the most amazing moves by Dragon King is that he could fly in the air, grab you, and then steal some of your health. That's incredible. Whoever came up with that is a genius. I mean, adding Dragon King, it's now the character's comeback. Now it's become one character. The game itself was originally just called Dragon King. There wasn't a character named Dragon King, but whatever. The Michelin Man! And leave a comment down below. Who do you think would win in a fight, the Jolly Green Giant or the Michelin Man? This next fantasy match is called Hyper Knuckles versus Super Sonic. I have a lot to say here. Well, first of all, I have a fan-modded version of Smash Remix that added Knuckles to the roster. It is rare to get. One of the stages they included was the Shrine for the Master Emerald, seen in Sonic Adventure. How amazing is that, guys? I mean, this is going out to all the Sonic fans out there, of course. I love how this flickers, by the way. Look at the Master Emerald. Doesn't it look exactly how it does on the Sega Dreamcast? That's amazing, isn't it? I changed the color scheme of Knuckles to be lighter. I tried to make him pink looking because Hyper Knuckles was pink back in the day. And then just have him fight Super Sonic. I also love that this stage was included because Sonic Adventure was released in 1999, 1 year after Smash Bros. 64. Sonic and Knuckles in this game, they should be the adventure version of the characters. I mean, look at all the detail. This is, Sonic Adventure on the N64. How amazing is this, right? I was hoping we could see more of the other part of the island that's part of Mystic Ruins on the side, and I wish they went into more detail, the people who modded this, but oh well, at least we have this. Now, this fantasy match is also perfect because imagine if this happened in Sonic Adventure, Hyper Knuckles fighting Super Sonic at the Shrine of the Master Emerald at night. That would have been amazing, right? Well, since it didn't happen, now you can just do it yourself. That's what's amazing about Smash Remix, is that now you can have more ideas for fantasy matches that were never possible before. Look how great Super Sonic looks in this game. He looks incredible. Look at all the detail. I love it. Even down to the red eyes of Super Sonic. And Knuckles' eyes are also purple. Well, not this version, but I must protect the Master Emerald. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my muscles. Knuckles was always the perfect character to be included in Smash Bros. He better be in the next one. Oh, man. Get out of here. Hyper Knuckles! Fuck yeah! So this next match is what I call the Sonic movie match. Yes, before the new Sonic movies, back in the day, Sonic already had a movie, and it was released in 1999 in the United States, and it was an anime. And one of the outfits that you can pick as Knuckles is his awesome cowboy outfit from the Sonic movie, the original Sonic movie, the better Sonic movie. You know, the real Sonic movie, the one from 1999. And you could also pick the classic Sonic outfit. So Sonic here looks more how he did in that anime movie. And he did meet Knuckles in the city in that movie, an abandoned city. So of all the levels to pick, I picked this one, and I'm not that happy with this level being the theme, but it's the closest I can find that at least sort of resembles an abandoned city at night. Also, this stage is from Perfect Dark 64, an overrated N64 shooting game. But still, it's a good game, but I don't think it's a frickin' masterpiece, I'll tell you that. They even included Knuckles' chuckle from Sonic 3. Isn't that awesome? One of the really awesome things about how they included Sonic in this game is that in the new update, Tails flies him into the match every time he comes into the next match. That's awesome. So now we can see Tails on the N64. At least we could see him there, fly Sonic in. Because Knuckles was always a more perfect character to be included in Smash Bros. Because he was always a fighter. Leave it to the fans to make something like this, to include Knuckles in Smash Bros. It's one of the most awesome things I could possibly think in Smash Bros. Yeah. This next fantasy match is pretty silly. I know I'm stretching it, but this match I call the King Kong Battle Match. So here I am as DK, and I picked this color because I think this closely resembles what King Kong's color scheme looks like dark fur and whatever, a tan. So I have him fighting Mario because the enemies to King Kong in the original were like these guys in business suits and stuff, and it took place in the 1930s. And then Kong did fight them because he went on top of the skyscraper at night. So picking this stage from Sonic Adventure 2, Radical Highway, is actually pretty perfect for King Kong. Not to mention, playing as Giant Donkey Kong is perfect because, you know, Donkey Kong, King Kong. And also, this has the highest spot you can go in the entire game, up here. I can't even look at the character because it's so high up. But this is like where King Kong should be. This is like him being on top of the Empire State Building. And even though this background is from Sonic Adventure 2, don't some of the buildings kind of look like the Empire State Building in the background? So of all the levels, this is pretty perfect for this kind of scenario. One of the things I don't like about this stage, actually, is that you can't go through the platforms like how you can in most of the levels. You'll hit the ceiling, which is really annoying. See? I can't go up here. What the fuck's that shit about? King Kong! So unfortunately, we come to the final match of tonight's festivities of the fantasy matches. This match I would like to call King Kong versus Godzilla. Isn't this perfect? Just have, you know, King Kong, a giant DK, versus Giga Bowser, because Giga Bowser looks more like Godzilla than regular Bowser, and then give the character this kind of color. The greenish color, I mean, Giga Bowser here does look more like Godzilla, right? So why did I pick the city? Well, I mean, come on, it's classic kaiju stuff, right? Giant monsters battle in the city. It's perfect. King Kong and Godzilla do fight each other in the city during the daytime in the new ones, but in the original 60s one where Kong fought Godzilla, they fought on top of Mount Fuji. Get the fuck out of here, loser. Not to mention, Bowser breathes fire just like Godzilla does. Well, I mean, Godzilla has his atomic breath. Not to mention, I wanted to have a three-way battle of Godzilla fighting King Kong versus Gamera, because I actually love Gamera. I'm a huge Gamera fan, and I actually like Gamera better than Godzilla. Unfortunately, there is no other turtle character to be Gamera here. But Bowser does look more like Gamera than Godzilla, right? It's just that Gamera didn't have spikes on his turtle shell. So unfortunately, we can't really say that he's Gamera. Love that shot. Oh my god! I fucking lost! Well, that's cool. That's hilarious. Fuck you, Bowser! Fuck you, Bowser! I mean, fuck you, Godzilla. Anyway, this is my special little video, the tribute to the 90s. Once again, these are the fantasy matches for Smash Remix. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I thought this was a fun, neat little video to do. I love making videos that no one else ever does on YouTube. And I honestly don't think I get enough credit for that. But anyway, please leave some comments below and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my uploads. Thanks for watching. Maybe I'll make a part 2 if you guys like this video. Have fun and kick people's ass on the N64. Get in or get out.